Years ago, I learned how to drive a manual transmission. Of course, there are other things you must learn to use, like the clutch, like the gear shift. And when you're going up a hill, it's different than going down a hill. Those of you who've driven manual transmissions know exactly what I mean. I had to move outside my comfort box in order to learn how to drive a manual. And for me, that was an intentional stretch. It's something I needed to do in order to do particular tasks like back up tractors to unload hay in a barn. Necessity. It had to change. Now, changes are things that are simply a part of life. Some of them are visual changes. Why, years ago, I had a full head of hair. Well, look at it now. I had no gray hair. Well, gray hair has come. And so it's a different method of taking care of my hair. Different than it used to be. Well, when it came to changes, there were other uncomfortable changes I had to work from. For example, focusing more on listening than acting. When I was young, I focused more on action, but the older I have gotten, I've discovered listening is much more important than action. Indeed, actions should be based upon what I'm learning from listening. Listening to you, listening to staff, listening to the Lord in the work I do through Scripture. Or one thing I learned, I guess I've been preaching about 8 or 9 years, but a person who did training for speakers said or suggested a course I should take. And the course worked on varying speeds and also varying vocal tones. As that person lovingly put it, the content of your message is very good, but it is your delivery you need to work on. And so I did. That was change. And change in order for us to improve the work that we do. And as I have referred to, we are dealing with changes that are absolutely necessary now. We have to move from driving an automatic transmission that automatically changes the gears, that has an automatic clutch, and all we need to do is press the gas pedal, and it automatically changes. But we have to change in life right now to manual transmissions, in which we are manually executing the necessary changes in our life. Why, that's what the Apostle Paul did. As he says, I am confident in the Lord that I myself will come soon to you. Or I want you to know Christ, yes, to know the power of his resurrection and participation in his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, and so somehow attaining to the resurrection of the dead. Very simply, the change was taking on both the suffering of Christ that changes and the resurrection that changes too. What changes do you need to make today to be more effective at proclaiming Christ? Again, this is John Carpenter, pastor of Waverly First United Methodist Church.